Everyone, welcome to Coral Tree Homestead. My name is Beck. This morning I came out, well actually we've had them for probably a week or two now, but this morning I came out and collected all the goose eggs. I breed two types of geese. I breed this fluffy one, they're called Sebastopol. I breed just a plain type, like a Toulouse cross they're called. But so 4 weeks before springtime, I pen these guys up into just small breeding pens, and I put together the birds that I want to breed. So it is said that ducks and geese mate for life, so they pick a partner and stay with them, but that is not true because 4 weeks before spring I just pair them up into the pairs that I want. So in this pen there's 2 girls and a boy. In that pen there's 3 girls and a boy. And they stay in there and lay their eggs. Their eggs are then safe from predators. A lot of the time we have snakes come into the chicken pen and or chicken paddocks and try and take the eggs. We have a guardian dog that likes to eat the eggs. So they are penned in here for 3 months over the springtime usually. Sometimes they go into summer as well. In the middle pen right there I've got my Muscovy ducks. I'll go over here so they're not as noisy for you. So the rest of the year they are completely free range in these large chicken paddocks that I have. And for the most part the geese aren't too noisy in the other months of the year when they're just roaming in the paddock, but come springtime, breeding season, they become really noisy. And our neighbours are pretty close next door, so I like to pen them up just to reduce that noise, because a lot of the time they'll also bark through the night. And so when it comes to mating season and they get very noisy and they want to protect their young, I pen them up into smaller pens. Also when the eggs hatch, they're a little bit safer if they're in the pens from aerial predators, large birds that want to take the babies. The way I like to do it is each day I'll come out and collect the eggs. I'll wait till I have sort of 10 or 15 eggs then and put them all back in the nest. Then the mother will start to go broody once she has a big enough nest. So normally they'll just lay 1 a day, right? When she has a large enough nest, she'll then go broody and sit on the nest. She'll pull her feathers out of her chest, her down, and she will make a really nice nest and sit on it. They sit on there for a month and then the babies hatch out. I do that just for safety. Like I said, they're in there, they lay an egg each day. Instead of some potentially cracking or something taking them, I'll just take all the eggs away just for safety. Each egg can be worth from anywhere to $100 to $200 when they're a large bird. So I want to protect them as much as I can. It's a good little tiny bit of income for us to cover our bird feed. And I really like breeding them also because they just eat grass. They can solely survive on grass and water. So they're quite a cheap bird to keep. And a lot of people like those Sebastopol fluffy geese, so that's why I can get a little bit more money for them when I sell them. An average goose at the moment goes for between $50 to $75. I can sell just a normal plain goose, but those fluffy ones are a little bit more sought after, especially the girls. You can get boys, but a lot of people don't want to sell the girls, especially me, because I want to increase my breeding flock. These geese are not aggressive until they get their young. Roosters are aggressive, pigs are aggressive, you've got to be careful, but a pretty common misconception is that geese are super aggressive. My geese aren't. They're lovely most time of the year. It's just in spring they want to protect their young, and so they do become a little bit aggressive, especially the males. And we actually have a male that roams around the outside and keeps the cages safe, if you like, and as soon as the babies start to hatch, he will become quite aggressive and want to chase me away. I don't mind that so much because it's going to keep the babies safe, really. But if you are keeping them as pets, full disclosure, they do become aggressive in the springtime, and they become very noisy in the springtime. They will start to bark when it comes into mating season. They're calling to each other, they're barking. If you pen them up like I have, so for the rest of the year, they're free range, right? If you pen them up in the springtime when they start to become noisy and lay their eggs, it reduces the noise dramatically. The job we have today is mulching the potato and onion beds. So let's go do that. I'll just show you here. Maggie's up. Hey Mags. This is Maggie and Reggie, or his other name is Little Man, because he's such a little man. Hey gorgeous girl. So Maggie was down in the front paddocks, and we're now just bringing her back up to the top to get her back in the routine of milking time. When we first start milking, I'll need to get the colostrum, which is like the first nutritious sort of thick milk that helps the baby get all its beneficial disease fighting good stuff. So I want to bottle that and put it into the freezer, because we plan to do potty calves and a fair few potty calves. So if the potty calf has been taken off its mother, a potty calf is like an orphan calf that usually comes from dairy farms. They're taken off their mother because otherwise they drink all the milk that, you know, we buy in the shop. So they get taken off early and they get bottle fed. Sometimes they don't get as much colostrum as what they need, and so if I keep it from Maggie, I'll then be able to give it to the oncoming potty calves that we'll be buying in to then graft onto Maggie. I've mentioned in a few other videos that we will be grafting potty calves onto Maggie. That is what Reggie is. We had an original calf, his name was Pedro. He is already in the freezer harvested. He was a year old, we harvested him. Potato onion bed. When I say weed, I also mean mulch. So we're putting this finer wood chip on that I explained to you guys. Breaks down really well and adds to the soil. And so yeah, let's get on to that. I've already started. I've just got to do this little bit right here, and that will keep the moisture in. It rained this morning and yesterday, so it will keep the moisture in and slow the weeds down. Full disclosure, this will not stop the weeds. Okay, I'll show you. Over here, this was already weeded. This was already weeded and mulched, sorry. So you can see that these little bits of grass are popping up. So it doesn't completely get rid of all the weeds, but I really hate weeding. I don't have time to weed, and so if I heavily mulch, it slows it down a lot, and I'm able to then do other things with my time. Okay, so I have my dingo here, or sometimes I use the tractor, and it just allows me that I don't have to go back and forth to the wood chip pile 100 times. And all I do is like shower it down, just like that. This is so hard to fit. I already have plants popped up, so I don't want to squish them completely with mulch. So I just want to rain the mulch down lightly, and I'll come through and do this a few times while they are growing, just to cover the small amount of weeds that we do have in this bed. I'll just come through regularly and shower down some mulch just to reduce the amount that I have to weed the bed. Some of the little seedlings don't make it, and so where they're more heavily sown, I'll just come back and thin it out and move it into the gaps, and that way, I'll show you. See, this one there's 3 in that one, and that was planted with another one over there, so I would just pull it out, and this is like a seedling that you would buy from a nursery, right? So you would just pull it out, separate it into 3, like that, and then plant them in the gaps, and that way when they get bigger, your garden looks really full and lush, and it's like, oh, that must have taken a lot of effort, but really, you know, you've just sort of done a bit here and there, and it's worked out beautifully. Case of onions and garlic, sometimes you can't always separate them as much as you would like. You know, you put one head in, one little head of garlic, but there might be 3 little mini heads in there, so you can't really pull it all apart sometimes. So you wait till they pop up and grow, and then you just separate them out. Now, I could go to the farmer's market or the supermarket and buy a bag of potatoes. I think a 5 kilo bag is $6, and it would save me all this time and effort. Onions are 99 cents a kilo at the moment at the farmer's market. It would save me a lot of time and effort. But if I don't start doing this, if I don't practice growing onions and potatoes on whatever scale, there's not a great deal here, there's, you know, a few rows of each. If I don't start, I'm not going to know how to troubleshoot my issues. Sometimes you have to get hands-on and just start doing something, you know, to figure out all the issues. You know, I've figured out that the wildlife don't like these, so I can grow them out in the open, even though there is a wombat that is chewing the tops of some of these, and it's so annoying. Sometimes wombats are just very persistent, aren't they? You know, they have this little path that they like to do every night, and yeah, under the cover of darkness they come out and chew the tops of your garlic and onions. Frustrating. Yeah, so whatever scale, it might be a pot on your back deck or a little patch in your back garden. If you start growing them, you'll start troubleshooting. You know, last year I grew onions and garlic in this bed and the whole crop went moldy. I had too much moisture from all the grass that was growing, and the whole crop went moldy and I couldn't store it over winter, so I had to then eat it all fresh and waste a lot of it because they all went moldy and bad. So this year I'm trying really hard to dry the top of the soil out with the mulch, and try and get the grass away, so hopefully I will have a crop. Now, looking into that, it did say any further crops that you plant in that same bed, the mold will come back and ruin them too. So that's going to be interesting to see if the mold does indeed ruin this crop, but we will find out together. Yeah, so just practicing doing these things, you will quickly learn what works, what doesn't work, what's going to kill them, what's going to make them thrive. And so that's why really I'm doing this, is to just start growing some crops and start learning, really. Yeah. So there's another one. This would have just been one clove, but it's actually popped up and now I have 2 cloves. So I can plant both of these and get a whole head of garlic. So sometimes you can't quite separate them all out, and that's okay, because you just come back and whatever didn't survive, you just fill in the little gaps. On that bed, it probably took me 45 minutes, and that will definitely reduce the weeds and reduce my time having to weed that bed. So I'll just show you. All nice and neat and tidy. This little bit down the end here was just going to be for like a little flour mix that I'll do in the end, just for the beneficial insects, bees and butterflies and things. That's about it. I just ran next door to get some sausages and some pork chops, and now I'm going to go inside and make dinner. Thanks for watching, guys. See you next time.